Tui ngātahi mātou ki te mana o te whānau. Te manaaki, te kairangatira me te ngākau pono tuituia. Hei koro wai tikanga tuku iho mō tātou. Orite ki ngā rākau nui I tipu ai te wao nui a tāne, ko te kauri I whakawhiwhi haumaru, ko te rimu I whakawhiwhi taonga, ko te tōtara I whakawhiwhi whanaungatanga, ko te kahi kātia I whakawhiwhi whakaaro matikite. Ngā pau e whā I aumangia ai I te whakatauki mā te whanaungatanga ka angi tū hui e, taiki e. Ai, tēnei wā, ko te tuatahi tēnei ahau ki te mihi ki te kaihanga, nāna nei ngā mea katoa. Ki ngā tini mate ko wehi ki te pō, haere ki tua te ārai, oki rā. Āpiti hono tātou hono tonga mate ki te honga mate, āpiti hono tātou hono te honga ora ki te honga ora. Tēnei wā, tēnei he mihi ki te mana whenua, gaitai ki tamaki ko nei tēnei ahi, tēnei he mihi. Kia koutou katoa, I hui mai nei, I rungi te kaupapa o tēnei rā, tēnei he mihi. Ko hikurangi te maunga, ko waiapu te awa, ko harauta te waka, ko te whānau tūwhaka iriora, te hapu, ko Ngāti Porou te iwi, ko even Jensen hau. Yes, thanks for the introduction earlier. So it's been quite pleasant being along today and listening to some of the kōrero and sitting there sort of taking that all in, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, they're stealing my stuff. What am I going to talk about? So I think there's huge alignment. I think and probably a lot of what I want to talk about reinforces that. But I suppose there's a bit of maybe a bit of a different bent from what I've heard. So far, I haven't been here all day, by the way, is to talk about, I suppose, the journey, some of the journey we have at Downer, and I suppose I'm I suppose privileged to be able to get a seat with our on the table of our senior leadership team, and it's really good that we've been able to bring more more kaupapa Māori into some of the way we do and think about things. So. And it's one of the things about really been pleasing for me over the last 6 months or a year or so are our tikanga, our values, and probably it's not new or different for those to be a Māori, but I suppose in our sector, in our sort of corporate area, that's a bit of a step, and I think something that I'm really pleased that we've brought into the business, and obviously we've got the English translation to those, but the other quite neat thing that we've done around the tikanga as well is actually bring in sign language and as well, which sort of knits quite well with the the official languages of New Zealand. But I think the hidden meaning in terms of our tikanga or values is words are words and actions are actions, and we need to live our values, and that sign component of our tikanga, of our values is for me the part that makes it real, because it's the actions, it's things that we do that matters. So that's something that's really reasonably new into our business, and that's bedding in and being really well accepted around our business. And one of the other tenets we have at Downer and how we think about our approach to business and the mahi that we do is the pillars, and you can see those up there. But we've looked at that and go, well, how can we bring this into kaupapa Māori a bit, and you can see there in my whakatauki, beginning to my kōrero earlier, really aligning the attributes of some of our rākau, our trees in the forest of Tāne, and and bringing that to how we think about some of the pillars of how we think about and do business. So these have really settled really well within the business, proud to see that sort of part of our ethos as a business here at Downer. Next, this is something that you might see some of our marketing material and everything, but diversity, and we've probably gone for a different thing and called it difference, understanding and accepting difference, whatever that looks like in terms of true diversity, and that can be in all sorts of different forms. Not just the ethnicity and gender, but backgrounds and influences and the way we think and all of that. And I think the statistics and all the analysis that's been done around that certainly shows that diversity is a good thing. It's a no-brainer. There's no point in a whole lot of people probably of same background, same way of thinking, sitting in a room agreeing with each other. We need to be able to challenge ourselves to grow and develop. So the difference and the own different has certainly been a feature within our business for a number of years. I wanted to touch on sustainability, because that's I suppose a big thing going forward. It's a big thing now and going forward, and increasingly so. Sustainability in that sort of fuller context, and we've sort of looked at that and how we bring that into our business as and understand it and actually drive action around our sustainability plans. So you can see there we've got our manaaki tangata, manaaki oranga, and manaaki taiao as a way of thinking about the various initiatives that we're driving in this space. The next one, oops, I'm probably both operating it, I think. I wanted to talk briefly about Ngā Kaiti Te Ara Whānaki. So it's effectively a governance group we have at Downer that sort of wraps around our vision and direction for Māori in our business. This has been in place probably six or so years, and it's really matured. A lot of the genesis of this goes back to 2013 when we headed down, bringing our Māori leaders together and looking at development and pathways for them, and that from humble beginnings, which it's gathered a lot of momentum around a number of initiatives and programs that we've got in the space. We had a celebration a couple of weeks ago with our tauira, our alumni from the programs over the years, and we had over 900 through our programs. We had about 150 people together at Mount Smart for this event, and it really it was a real let's say comfortable place for us to really celebrate and reflect on what we've been achieved, but sort of bring our Māoriness together. So what we did that day was we waiata and haka, and brought that in. It was a big part of it, and I'm still waiting to see the video from it, but the power of having 150 people of our people doing our Downer haka, doing our waiata, is I suppose really humbling given the journey, but just see that alive in our business. One of the programs that we have at Downer is Te Ara Maramatanga, and that's because as we're running our Māori leadership programs and Māori development, a lot of our non-Māori people were really keen to get along and understand what's done, how they can be involved. But what we found is probably not a lot of our non-Māori probably it's a bit scary being on the marae or don't have the opportunity. So new immigrants to New Zealand, how do they make that sort of connection? So we've had a number of our senior leadership people through our Te Ara Maramatanga programs, and elements that are covered in there are tikanga and familiarity, learning a little bit about the marae scene, I suppose, and sort of breaking that down. But also, we get into some heavy discussions around equity, around the journey or the history of New Zealand, not in any judgmental way, but sort of factually look at that. We look at the treaty and a few of those sort of things. We moi on the marae together for the night and get that experience. And so that's been really successful for us. And I suppose what because I haven't got to suppliers yet, but I suppose where I'm heading to with this is growing the capability of our people, growing the capability of our branch managers and our project managers and our project directors, that there's a connection here to our people, to all of our people at Downer, but broader in the communities that we work in, and the partners that we work with, whether that's in the supply chain or with our customers. So I think that's cumulative effect, but I think that's gaining a groundswell and sort of connecting back to that to the tikanga and our pou, really central in the way that we think about our business. So it continues to be, as it will always be, a learning journey. But that's been I suppose our journey thus far, and where we're looking to head going forward. So just I suppose I just wanted to get into some of the challenges for us. So one, and I'll show something shortly in terms of the data. It can be a challenge for us in terms of having availability of suppliers all across the motu. We've got pretty good presence in Auckland, but that's one of the things, sort of stepping outside of the main centres that we need to foster and work on, either that being our side, if you like, the understanding of our people and engagement of that supply chain, and I suppose the capability or the availability of the supply chain to meet the needs. So Pele Nato, who spoke earlier, and he was talking about the risk management side of things, and that's certainly a big thing. We I suppose rightly have processes, and we've got to have that the checks and balances around that there's that commercial sustainability, but even more so in terms of our sector is safety. So we need to know that we are working with partners that take safety seriously, the competency and training and awareness of the people that work for our partners, like our own people, have hold that zero harm, that safety is paramount. So we do have some heavy sort of vetting around that area. But in saying that, we're also here to help, and we have helped a number of suppliers over the time on how we get their systems up to speed, and share some of how we approach the safety management side of things. I talked about sustainability earlier, and that's sort of more and more so, our understanding of probably a component of sustainability is emissions and environmental impact, and that's probably the drive to how what we're doing is lower emitting. So we're certainly on a mission of we're a reasonably big emitter with having the size fleet that we have around the country, but how we shift that, and I suppose how our supply chain shifts with that as well as in terms of our targets towards the future of sort of that zero net carbon goal ultimately. Key things around the mitigation, sort of relationships are really, really key. And I think that's, with a business like Downer, we're sort of spread all over the place, and the connections, a lot of the connections are at that sort of contract or branch sort of level. It's sort of hard to approach Downer in the centre because it's so diverse and large. So those local connections, people to people in the communities that we're working, are very important. I talked about helping to meet standards. And there's for us, the job to do is to continue to educate our people around Amotai and the Māori Pacifica, small businesses, medium businesses that are out there, and that's continued mahi for us to do, and then as I talked about, sustainability journey. So, so just in terms of some of the numbers for us. I suppose there can't be a CFO up here if I don't put some numbers. Got to have a graph. You can sort of see, we're sort of approaching the $30 million spend mark with Amotai businesses. That's still, a reasonably small percentage of our spend. So there's more mahi to do here, but we do measure and track this. We see this on our side. But as you can see from our geography perspective, 2/3 of that is in Auckland. I suppose that's a lot of our population, a lot of our work base is in that Auckland area as well. But there's certainly more mahi to do for us around the regions in terms of bringing more of that Māori Pacifica businesses into our supply chain. And then finally, I've talked about relationships, partnerships, they're long term, for me, establishing trust over time, investing in that. Also touched on the management systems and processes that important that are in place within our business. And the other thing is just and I suppose it's sort of talking in between a buyer and seller of services, is that it makes it so much easier to invest when you have a pipeline of work around it. So whether you're large or small, that enables more of that investment to happen. Yeah, those probably, I don't think anyone's fallen asleep, that's good, after lunch shift, but that's about it from me. Nō reira, tēnei he mihi kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou katoa.